Hello everyone. In this discussion, we will cover Chapter 9 assessment questions. So here is the learning objective. After this lesson, you should be able to summarize the main points of the lesson. And also, you should be able to solve chapter assessment questions. Students, for Chapter 9 assessment, you can refer your textbook pages 268 to 217. Now let's start the Chapter 9 assessment. We will start from Chapter 9, Lesson 1. Now let's see the first question. Write a chemical equation for cellular respiration and also label the molecules involved. Well, here is the chemical equation. Here is the chemical equation. Oxygen plus glucose yields carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Let's see another question from Chapter 9, Lesson 1. What percentage of the energy contained in a molecular glucose is captured in the bonds of ATP at the end of glycolysis? Well, here is the answer. It's about 10%. It's about 10%. Let's see another question. What does it mean if a process is anaerobic? What does it mean if a process is anaerobic? And which part of cellular respiration is anaerobic? So the answer is a process is anaerobic if it does not directly require oxygen. So if it does not directly require oxygen, and glycolysis is an aerobic process. It's an aerobic process. Let's see another question. Why is comparing cellular respiration to a burning fire a poor analogy? Why is comparing cellular respiration to a burning fire a poor analogy? So why it's poor analogy is cellular respiration slowly releases energy. It slowly releases energy through a series of controlled reactions, whereas a fire releases energy more quickly. Well, let's see another question. Let's compare and contrast. Why are cellular respiration and photosynthesis considered opposite reactions? Why they are considered opposite reactions? So why they are considered opposite is photosynthesis removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and cellular respiration puts it back. And also photosynthesis releases oxygen into the atmosphere, and cellular respiration uses that oxygen to release energy from food. Now let's see Chapter 9.2 assessment questions. Let's see the first question. How is the glucose changed during glycolysis? How is glucose changed during glycolysis? How glucose changed during glycolysis? Well, the answer is during glycolysis, one molecule of glucose is transformed into two molecules of pyruvic acid. So one molecule of glucose is transformed into two molecules of pyruvic acid. Let's see another one. What is NAD plus and why is it important? Why is it important? So the answer is NAD plus. NAD plus is an electron carrier and it provides high energy electrons needed to produce ATP. It provides high energy electrons needed to produce ATP. Let's see another one. Summarize what happens during the Krebs cycle, and also what happens to high energy electrons generated during the Krebs cycle. Okay, so the answer is pyruvic acid is broken down into carbon dioxide in a series of energy extracting reactions. ATP is produced. In addition, high energy electrons are carried to the electron transport chain by NADH and FADH2. Well, let's see another question. How is ATP synthase involved in making energy available to the cell? So the answer is hydrogen ions pass across the mitochondrial membrane through ATP synthase, causing the base of the ATP synthase to spin. With each rotation, the enzyme grabs an ADP molecule and attaches a phosphate, producing ATP. Let's see another question. Compare and contrast how is the function of NAD plus in cellular respiration similar to that of NADP plus in photosynthesis. So as you might know, the answer is both are electron carriers that hold high energy electrons until they can be transferred to other molecules. So both are electron carriers. Now let's see questions from chapter 9, lesson 3. How are fermentation and cellular respiration similar? How are fermentation and cellular respiration similar? So the answer is both processes begin with glycolysis and produce ATP. So both processes begin with glycolysis and also they produce ATP. Let's see another question. Write equations to show how lactic acid fermentation compares with alcoholic fermentation. Which reactants do they have in common? So let's see the answer. Alcoholic fermentation. In alcoholic fermentation, pyruvic acid plus NADH yields alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus NAD+. So in lactic acid fermentation, pyruvic acid plus NADH yields lactic acid and NAD plus. So the common reactants are, as you can see, pyruvic acid and NADH. Let's see another question. Infer certain types of bacteria thrive in conditions that lack oxygen. What does that fact indicate about the way they obtain energy? What does that fact indicate about the way they obtain energy? So here is the answer. So these organisms likely obtain energy through the anaerobic process of fermentation. Okay, let's see the last question. Infer to function properly. Heart muscle cells require a steady supply of oxygen. After a heart attack, small amounts of lactic acid are present. What does this evidence suggest about the nature of a heart attack? Here is the answer. During a heart attack, lactic acid fermentation must occur. Thus, a heart attack must somehow prevent oxygen from reaching cardiac cells, which would in turn prevent the heart from functioning properly. Students, this will be the end of this video, and for more information you can read your textbook page by referring the pages mentioned at the beginning of the video. For today, bye bye.